Welcome everyone to a gameplay overview on Assault on Arnhem. This is a very simple or tablet port about Operation Market Garden, I should say, the airborne invasions of Netherlands, German-occupied Netherlands, during World War II. So what I'm going to do for this is, it's a gameplay overview, and I'm going to try to give the good, the bad, and the ugly. Where the good and the bad are like I find objective good things and objective bad things about the game, and the ugly is really just, beauties in the eye of the beholder. So it's going to be the things that I find appealing or unappealing about the game, as the case may be. So let's just jump right into it then. And right away we're going to see one of the things which I think is unfortunately one of the bad things. So I want to start out on a good foot because I think this game, I really like the idea of this game, and for hands down I think this is a great pickup if you want to get it on tablet itself, because the game is certainly built for tablet, and it's very simple. It has the complexity which I think is appropriate for a tablet type game. With you usually have more time if you're sitting down to a computer game and you have a keyboard, you have a mouse, you have all this complexity available to you. So it might be a little too simple. It might be, well, I should say, at least it's simpler compared to a lot of the war games you expect to find on the PC. But unfortunately, let's start off on that. That's my good foot, but immediately let's follow up with one of the bad things. It is not even, it's a shameless tablet port, if I may be so bold as to say so. You can see here, just tap on the screen. Well, tapping on my screen isn't going to do anything. And also in the next one we see pinch to zoom in and zoom out. So this kind of puts me off to the game right away. It's something that I'm sensitive to more than most people, or at least it's something that I think, rather sensitive to. I don't know why. I just feel like if you're gonna move to PC, the least you could do is at least, Control F, search in your tutorials and change the word tap for click, some minor things like that. So in my opinion, it kind of showcases a bit of laziness on the developer's part, and I think that the reason why I would harp on that so much is just because I don't want this to become the norm. I don't want in the future to see that constantly games are just ported from the tablet and just dumped onto the PC without a real consideration. So this is made by HexWar, and if I was able to appeal to them directly, I would say just, instead of publishing this game in PC, maybe directly, just copying and pasting it from tablet, which is really how it feels it was done, just spend like 1 week polishing it. And I'm sure that there's stuff you have to do just to port it to PC, but beyond that, maybe make it so that PC has a little extra controllability or interface advantage, because even this is another thing I'm going to show you, that when you click on in order to view the hexes, you have to click on them, but as we just saw, left click, there's no right click. So look, I can right click until I'm blue in the face, but it doesn't have any functionality in this game. If they were able to even implement left click for select and right click for move, unfortunately left click also moves as well as selecting, which can cause some problems, especially because we can see the graphics for this game are not stellar. They're tablet quality, and that's just what you're getting. Now, I am not a big person when it comes to graphics. There's a lot of games that I thoroughly enjoyed that have very poor graphics, like Distant Worlds Universe. It has decent graphics, probably on par with this, or maybe even better. There's Aurora 4X, which has no graphics, and Dwarf Fortress, and Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. Lots of games which have very simple graphics. That's not the point. The gameplay for those games makes it so worthwhile. But this is a really simple war game, so there's not a whole lot of depth to it that keeps you coming back, and certainly the graphics won't either. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. When you click on a unit, clicking again, everything is left click. This mirrors the tap function in a tablet. If you click again, your unit will move. But unfortunately, sometimes, now I'm going to show an example beyond my range of movement, but let's say I wanted to find out what this hex is. I'd have to click away and then click on the hex itself. Okay, now we know 287 is fields. Oh. Huh, that's weird. I didn't realize that it was done that way. It looks like this is... These two are both 0, these are both 1, these are both 2. I'm just looking at the way they count it instead of making this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, well that's interesting. I mean, that's... I guess I see what they mean, that the first row is... The next row that is aligned with the first row is row 1, and this is like 1A, 1B. Anyway, so if I was to try to click on here and just find out what it was, well, I moved. Thank God there is this undo last move, which I have taken advantage of several times in my play. But let's get this guy to move up here. Yeah, so why is that so important? I started to talk about it. Well, because the graphics are, you know, not great by themselves, but on top of that, some of the graphics are just plain deceptive. For example, if I wanted to look and find which of these is town, well, this is town. Above it is also town. These are both town. And this surely is town, right? Well, wrong. This is fields. So even though it looks like the town graphic is painted there, you really have to click to check, which is why the left click, right click thing would have made sense, because, you know, let's say I was here or here and I wanted to know where I should end up. It'd be easier to left click, and then, you know, just a system that, you know, Advanced Tactics Gold has this system, for example. But so let's get this guy to move up as well. I didn't even talk about the objective. So there's 4 scenarios at the start. I chose the simplest of them, and our objective is quite simply just to take this bridge. So I'm going to turn that back off. That's it. So you can see 500 points, victory points is whoever controls that at the end of 6 turns wins. And we've gone, well, I guess this is our 2nd turn, so what we're trying to do is move as far forward as fast as possible, and then we're going to have to somehow kick this guy out. So I think I've talked about all of the quote-unquote bad of the game. So we've gotten that kind of out of the way. Just the interface, I mean, everything about the tablet port, I feel like it was done very poorly. I mean, it was done well enough that the game functions, but it was done poor enough that it's, at every moment, you never lose sight of the fact that it is a port from tablet, and that kind of robs it of some of the glory it's due for being like a nice war game on Market Garden. So after, my objective is just to take this, and that brings me to the next point I wanted to make, which is about how this game is played. I originally thought this would be something like Advanced Tactics Gold, or maybe you know, one of these complex, you know, War in the East, Gary Grigsby games, even like the Ajod games, Civil War II. I just recently started playing and I love it. 1 second. Take a drink, take a breath. Unfortunately, this game is much more in the vein of like Monopoly or Risk. Now, it's a little ludicrous to compare them that far, but I just want to put like in the meter, in the spectrum of Lady Luck versus pure tactics. Like this one is definitely more towards the Lady Luck side. The random number generation plays an immense role on your success or failure in every campaign. So to give you an idea of what I first did is, when I first picked up this game, it took me about 5 times to play this scenario, the exact one I'm doing now as the allies, to get a feel for the game. And I read through all the tutorials, etc. The next 5 times I started to employ what I figured, or what I was guessing to be, the optimal strategy. Excuse me. So this quote-unquote optimal strategy, or at least really good tactics, got me very close to succeeding, but unfortunately, just purely due to dice rolls, I would lose. And in fact, I think it took me 11 tries or so to beat it for the first time. I didn't even vary my strategy the last 5 times or so that I played. I just did the exact same thing, and this is what reminds me of like Monopoly or Risk. We've all had that friend before who, you know, he somehow believes that taking Asia on the first turn is viable, but you know, it's a terrible tactic. Everyone else is like trying to corner off South America or Australia or whatever, you know, or they have this long-term plan to take Europe, but the one guy, you know, he just gets lucky, rolls 6s the entire way, and the game's over. So Risk, Monopoly, these are not games that reward tactics as much as they reward luck. But from a war game, I generally expect that tactics are rewarded more than luck. And I just want to make it very clear that that's not how this game is. It's certainly more favorable for good tactics. Hugely, much more. Tactics are much more important than in either Risk or Monopoly. But if you're expecting pure tactics to rule the day, you're dead wrong. And that can be a real source of frustration unless you realize it right away. And I just want to put that out there so that when you come into the game, you come in with that free spirit, knowing that you're going to lose because of dice rolls sometimes. It's just going to happen. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about here. And probably I've recorded this video, I don't know, like this is my 5th or 6th take at this gameplay overview. So I've had numerous chances where RNG has done well for me, as in I complain about the RNG and then it appears to be like perfectly balanced. It's really well done. So we'll just see how it goes here. I have a strength of 5 on my attack. They have a strength of 4 on their defense, but because of the fields, they're defending with a -1 adjustment, which means this is 5 to 3. Now note, this is your hit points left, and once these fall away, you also start to lose your combat abilities. But right now, I'm sitting at a 5 to 3 advantage. Let's see what that turns out to look like in terms of dice rolls. Now the various effects are, okay, there was 0, 0. Either side can lose 1, 2, or 0. In that last one, we both lost 0. It could be both lose 2, one lose 1, one lose 0, you know, any combination therein. But it's supposed to be based on the dice roll. So although it's 5 to 3, I haven't scored a hit yet. Okay, in fact, this one went dead even. And this is the kind of thing which, okay, that's fine for one combat. But if my luck was to continue to be that poor, there's just simply no way I can win. Just simply no way. And so that's kind of my ugly, quote-unquote ugly part of this game, is I want you to be very aware that I don't find it, like, amazing, at least. Okay, so this is 3 to 3, it's even, and they're coming out way behind. So that was supposed to be more or less even, but they actually came out pretty poorly for it. Yeah, just I want to put that in there, though. Okay, we have 3 movement points. We certainly need to move this guy forward because we have to take this by like 4 more turns. I think what we'll do is a combined attack. Actually, I'll probably attack with this guy and then attack this guy over here to start weakening him. And it looks like we have one more. We'll get the HQ to start moving up. Okay, and now let's just continue our attacks. I'm going to attack this guy. He's dug in, but because it's 5 to 3, we should still... Wow, just incredible. Nothing happened again. But instead of attacking this guy, I'm going to attack this guy because it's 5 to 1. You can see this should be a huge victory for me. 1, 1 to 1, and then finally 2. That felt like more or less appropriate. Now, even if we have very low rolls, if not a lot of damage is done, we will lose. I mean, it takes a definite amount of hit points, like a certain number of hit points, to displace this guy. And if we can't even get to him, we're just hosed. So we have 2 turns left to go after this, which is actually 3 turns left to go, I think. So they're attacking. Although they're at a huge disadvantage, they start doing 2 to 2. Okay, and then they lost 2. That seems more appropriate. Good. Now we have only 1 movement, so we certainly are going to move this guy. Looks like he couldn't move up there. I don't know why that is. I guess... Yeah, well, it won't let me move there because I get blocked by this guy, but I should be able to move like this. No, I guess the zone of control. Maybe zone of control blocks me. Okay, that's fine. So let's begin our attack then. And this is really important. We have to start making ground up now. So 1. Okay, finally. Okay, so let's advance there. And next we're going to attack with this guy. Yes. Attack. Attack. This is 5 to 1. And he has very low strength as well, so we should be crushing him. Okay, good. So we did get the last one. That was really important. Now the last one here is actually kind of a tricky one. I think what we're going to have to do is... I think I am going to attack with this guy in here, because the HQ is not going to be able to counterattack. Even if we take this objective, we're going to have to hold it, because you notice the Germans go after us. So I'm going to want to line it up so that this guy moves here next turn, and he can soften up probably this recruit unit. So we'll just we'll 1 second. Okay, yeah, we'll attack here, I think. And this will probably push him out. Okay, thank God. But I'm gonna... Yes, advance, okay. Now here's the... I think we're gonna get there. We'll see here. Okay, they are counterattacking us. Okay, so we see 0 turns left. We are on our last turn. So we're going to move this guy up. And this is really for all the marbles. We're going to attack with this unit first here, just to weaken him, because successive attacks against the same unit will give you successive bonuses. So that did not work out, we just died immediately, but hopefully his bonus still occurs. Now, just to leave the suspense up a little bit, let me attack with this guy, see if anything happens. Okay, so we were able to get close. But this is the big one. In fact, I don't give us very good odds. Even though we were able to make it here, I don't think we'll be able to dislodge him. No. So there it is, it's game over. We have lost. That's really unfortunate, but that's just the way this game goes. You have to wait for the die rolls, and I'm kind of glad it worked out that way for us in this little gameplay overview, because that's how it'll continue to work out many times. So that's why I feel like this is a great tablet game, because it has a lot of options for, you know, just restarting, playing very quickly, no problems there. But I think that playing it on PC, I just kind of expect luck to not be as big of a deal, because I take it a little more seriously. Now, just to very briefly jump in here, let me show one other scenario playing as, I guess we played as the Allies. I should have played as the Axis. In fact, I could just restart. So you can see this scenario is with a lot more units. And let me actually just restart real fast and show you the Axis side. And I want to make another point here. That first scenario, due to random numbers, you know, the system with random numbers is the more events you have, the less your deviation from your expected value. So let's just take a really simple example. Let's say that I'm tossing a 3-sided dice that has 0, 1, or 2 as its options. Well, we know the expectation for that, if I average out over all my different throws, I should get 1, right? Because I'll get 1, supposedly I'll get 0 a third of the time, 1 a third of the time, and 2 a third of the time. But, so the expected value there is just 1/3 times 0 plus 1/3 times 1 plus 1/3 times 2, which is just equal to 1. Now, the less times you throw the dice, the more deviation you have. So now let's just imagine I throw the dice 10 times. In general, variation, your deviation from your expected value goes as the square root of the number of times or events. So if I was to roll the dice 10 times, my deviation from that would be square root of 10, which is like 3. Or, yeah. So we'd have 10 plus or minus 3. Now, if I roll that dice 100 times, my deviation is square root of 100, which is 10. And look at the huge difference here. 10 plus or minus 3 is like 30% variation, whereas 100 plus or minus 10 is only 10% deviation. So this is a really big difference. And why am I saying this whole thing? So, yeah, why am I talking statistics, right, in a war game? Well, this map has many, many more turns in it. And it also has many, many more units in it, which means that we're getting a lot more events and some of the randomness will go away. So, in fact, Grave, the first episode, the first scenario, I should say, is actually one of the hardest ones just because it has the most variation. I also think that it's just very hard anyway because they just barely give you enough time. And my grief, my like quote-unquote ugly part of it is just that I'm not a big fan of that huge RNG element. So when I was doing the same tactics repeatedly, it's the same thing over and over again just to win the first scenario, I kind of got very disenchanted with the game. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is that's enough of that. But I think this is a great game. Otherwise, okay, let's say it's a great game as a basic entry-level war game. And certainly that's the kind of game that you would like to play, I assume, on, you could play on a tablet. So that's going to conclude this video. There is artillery in there, by the way, and these can shoot from like 3 hexes away. That's pretty cool, but I'm not going to actually play this scenario. I just wanted to show it off. So you can see that the Americans landed down here, and that you hold, I shouldn't try to say this, but I don't know, is it Nejmegen or Nijmegen? I don't know. Anyways, Operation Market Garden, this is your, a nice easy way to jump into it and give it a go. But as long as you're cautious about the RNG elements, I think it is a lot of fun, and I would say it's a much easier pickup for the tablet if that's what you own. And that's going to call this review to a close. In fact, I'm going to introduce my new review mechanic. Or this is an overview, not a review, because I've found, in the same vein where I kind of have a small background, at least in statistics, I find that everyone in reviews they don't actually give their true review score. If I ask you to give me a number between 1 and 10 as a rating, the average should be 5.5, but what you find is that people, if you average over everyone's reviews, the average would actually be like a 7.5, which just means people are inflating their reviews, which I don't understand. If you ask me for a rating between 1 and 10, why would I only choose to rate things between like 5 and 10? What I think the new formula is people pick n, but what they actually show to everyone else is 1 minus quantity, 1 minus n divided by 2. What I mean by that is just everyone halves the distance between the value they chose and 10. So if you feel a game is really average, you say it's a 5. You don't say 5, you actually say 7.5. If it's a really good game, you give it an 8. That's a really high score, right? 8, that's way above 5, which is the middle. But you don't actually say 8, you say 9. If it's a terrible game, you say, okay, this is like a 2. But you don't say 2. You divide that distance in half again, and you say, oh, this is a 6. And because of that, I don't know if I can deal with numbers anymore, because even my review of Atlantic Fleet, I gave it like a 3 or 3.5, and I meant that in a good way, but I think people misinterpreted. Atlantic Fleet is a very good game. It's also a tablet port, but you can see it's a much better tablet port than this game. The last thing I want to say about this game, by the way, is it is extremely cheap. There's a Bundle Stars package going on right now. You can pick this up with other games for only $3. And even without the package deals, it's pretty cheap, which could influence your decision to buy it. So the last point I want to say about my review style moving forward is I'm going to start giving either just 0, 1, or 2. This makes it very simple. I think everyone kind of understands just a 3 quantity system, a discrete system with only 3 levels. So this is going to get a 1 shell. So yes, I'll use shell because that kind of goes along with the turtle, Tortuga theme. This will get 1 shell out of 2. 0 shells means it's not a game I recommend. 1 shell means I have some recommendation. I do recommend it, but like reservations. There's at least something wrong with the game that I want to point out. And 2 shells means it's a fantastic game. And I want to stress that not many games will get 2 shells. A 1 shell is going to be your standard. That means if I'm showing it on the channel, probably a 1 shell means, yeah, go ahead and take a look at this. But okay, well, that's all I want to say. Thanks for watching. This is a 1 shell game, and I do think it's worth a pickup for such a low value. Low cost. It's, you're getting what you pay. You're at least going to get back what you pay for it if you pay that little. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more of these little reviews. I think there should be a few more coming up with all the package or bundle deals I've been dealing with lately. So thanks for watching, and take care.